Hello and welcome to the IRN-CRU podcast, an American football podcast made in Scotland by NFL lovers. You are listening to and watching the Draft Review Crew, and I am your host, Brian, the conscience of Cleveland Donlan. And this is the first time I've actually been on in ages, because school and work and wains and all the rest of it have meant I've not been able to go on that much. And what a time to make a wee bit of a return to the crew, where we've actually got something to talk about for a change. And it's one of the few shining lights in the dark time of the close season, where we can talk about the draft. It's been, it's gone, it's happened. We know where everyone has landed. And now we get to speculate on how they are going to do. Now, as always, I am joined by the finest, most knowledgeable member that the crew has to offer. Liam, I'm setting you up, so don't let me down.
Indeed. I know.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good. I'm really well. I'm looking forward to chatting all things draft. It was a fun weekend. So yeah, really feel we're this like where's the off season gone now? It's back into it, isn't it?
Yeah. Now it is the dark time, and then now we'll get. Well, we said we'll get what we got. What is it? It's the end. It's the end of April as we record. We're about to start May. We need to get through May. Not much happens in May. Middle of June, we start to get into training camp, start to get going properly. July, we really get training camp. And then, yeah, then it's the build to the season.
It's just all hope season, isn't it? It's the fan bases, you know, get all the hope from all their picks. It's all going to be A+s.
This is the best time of the year for that, because it is great. The amount of teams that are winning the Super Bowl right now is alarmingly high. I don't know if you can cut that. I don't know if you can cut the Lombardi Trophy into 32 bits, but we might need to if you take the fan base's opinions on it. But yes, hope and optimism are the aim of the game, and they are the big thing of the evening, because it is that most optimistic time of year. We've got all these college athletes making that step, coming into the big leagues, coming up to the big boy table, and we get to, we're not jaded and put off by them yet, and nobody's having a terrible, terrible rookie year yet. So it is all about that. Now, what we're going to do tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go through all the different divisions. We're going to have a whip around the league, see what people did, see who went where. Sorry, folks, that's great, but I'm going to pause randomly throughout the pod because I've got a terrible cough and no one wants to hear it. We're going to go around all the teams, chat about who they picked up, what we think of their drafts. Then we'll talk about our biggest shocks are, who we're looking forward to seeing most this year. Because as we say, it's that brilliant time of year where everybody's pure potential. And some of these guys are very, very exciting. And yeah, as we say, there were some... how do I put this delicately? Interesting draft choices made. Although not as many super weird ones as last year. I don't know about you, Liam. I felt last year I had a lot more teams I was looking at after the draft going, I have no idea what you've just done.
No, yeah, I feel like overall, when I've been looking at the draft, it's like a lot of, dare say it, some sensible drafting. You kind of think, oh, that kind of makes sense. That kind of makes sense. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, that's... What's happened to especially coming up to the draft, all the hype of, I'm sure we'll get into it more in the first round, of people moving around a lot more, and that didn't quite come to, people weren't jumping up way up high, or didn't get those deals done. So it was maybe a bit, it kind of fell a bit calmer, I suppose, maybe you'll say.
But, yeah, I don't know. Are we happy about that we had a sensible draft? Don't get me wrong. There is one team, and we'll get to them. But there's one team that didn't have an interesting draft. And there's one big shock that I've got in my head that I didn't quite get. But by and large, yeah, kind of everybody seemed to be fairly sensible. We didn't have any super questionable picks, or, well, my opinion, we didn't have any super questionable picks. But yeah, let's say we're happy with it. Let's say it's a good thing. Let's say it's good news. Right, so let's get stuck into this. We're going to rattle our way around the divisions. Don't worry, and I apologise to fans listening to this now. If we do one of your prized players, your prized acquisitions, a disservice, get in touch on X. Reach out to us. I should have said that at the top of the show, actually. Remember, folks, you can catch us on X, on Twitter, on Twitter and X, on Instagram, YouTube, all the rest of it. We are everywhere. But let us start with the one, the only AFC East. We have got the Bills, the Finns, the Jets, the Pats, and they all had some interesting drafts. Now, do you know what, Wilson? I think our big stories from this, for me anyway, and this is where you can feel free to disagree with me, it's got to be all about the Patriots and it's all about the Bills for two different reasons. Big interesting bit for me with the Patriots, it's obvious. It is the arrival of Drake May, quarterback out of North Carolina, third pick overall. Is he the man? Is it cometh the man, cometh the hour? The Patriot way is restored. Winning football is returning to New England.
I don't know if we're quite there yet, but as I kind of alluded to, there's all the chat of the Pats trading out, or they were the team apparently they were most likely to trade out from the third pick, but I think they're sensible in taking May, getting that quarterback that hopefully will reset their QB room again. But yeah, I think they've still got a lot of pieces to put in there. But I think it was overall, I think they did all right in their draft. I think taking May, and then they took two wide receivers as well.
Yeah.
Got some weapons for him as well. So I'll be interested to see May, how May goes. It's always fun to see the rookies come in, and obviously what I've heard about him, he's going to run a bit as well. So we'll see what he does. And a new regime there. I suppose it's our first draft, wasn't it? It's all changing the front office and things like that as well. So I suppose good starting block, I suppose, taking May. So yeah, we'll see where it leads.
And I say, we're all just disappointed in New England. They can tell that Bill's not there anymore because they didn't just inexplicably draft a right tackle from a D3 school, and trade up to get. But yeah, it is interesting. And it is the big thing with New England. When you look at that roster, I'm sorry, Patriot fans, but offensively, yes, we're excited about Drake May. He's mobile, he's exciting. When Juju is the peak of your weapons, that is unfortunately not saying a lot. Ramondre's great. Love Ramondre. But the wide receiver core in New England is not something that excites. They did pick up Jalen Polk out of Washington, 37th pick, who looks good. He does look like a good receiver. Is it going to be enough? Is it going to bring winning football back to New England? Probably not. Is this, though, the case? I don't know. I don't feel like leaving this way. Is it the case where New England are actually being sensible and this is just an actual slow rebuild? And New England have got no aspirations to win this year. New England are just looking to build up and build up.
I think that's really what I think they've done. Like you were saying, maybe Bill Belichick, you haven't got those picks anymore. It just seems a sensible. They got some players in. They got the two wide receivers. They took a tackle as well. They took a cornerback. They did again, like we alluded to at the start. It was just a sensible overall kind of round or overall draft, wasn't it?
Now, moving from sensible to, and I'm going to be controversial on it. Moving from sensible to a team that was much maligned for their first round antics, the Buffalo Bills. Trading back from the first of every team they could have traded with, trading with Kansas City, and not to give a wee bit away for later, but who then went and picked up a wide receiver, Xavier Worthy, the speedster wide receiver of the class. Is this one where Buffalo went a bit mad here?
Yeah,
Buffalo done something a bit sad, and they did pick up wide receiver. They did pick up Keon Coleman, the 33rd pick, but they gave a weapon to Patrick Mahomes, to the one team that consistently they can't seem to get the read on. Is this a poor move by Buffalo?
It was one of the stories I think of the first round of all the you're going on to any social media, all the Bills fans kind of complaining that they traded back twice, didn't they? I think in the first round, out of the first round, basically out of it completely, to the top of the second. And yeah, they obviously eventually took Coleman, who I think looks like the wide receiver class, I suppose, was meant to be really, really strong this year. So we'll see how it actually goes. Deep. It's deep. Yeah, they keep hearing the word deep, don't you? It's a deep class. So maybe they just thought we'll just get some more draft picks. We'll just trade back and see who falls to us. But then they didn't. What was I thought was like weird. Great, they took Coleman, but then they didn't go back to the well. They didn't take any more wide receivers at all. Which, okay, I know they picked up Samuel, wouldn't they? Picked up Curtis Samuel so far in the off season. They still got Shakir there as well, I think.
The big thing with the Bills is that there's all the chat about how they're gonna they need to replace Diggs. That's what all the chat is. How do you replace Slows and Diggs? And this is the bit again where, and I'm now trying to find what the haul is that they have actually set themselves up with going into next year's draft. But the takeaway for this is that the Bills actually look like they are going to be hilariously stacked from draft picks for 2025 through this. So it's I can't find the full list of what they have. I will find it throughout the pod and we'll come back to it. But they have went from, they traded back and they traded out and they bought all of this stuff, but they are now sat with a host of picks. And it looks like 2025, they'll get shot of Von Bell. They will have cap space to play with. And are they really just actually being a little bit clever about it? And they're actually trying to set themselves up for the long haul and not just blow everything to try and get themselves kind of the odd one pick straight away. It's tricky. It's always hard to say because at this point in the year, you always get caught up in the who did or didn't you grab, and it's not just about this year, is it?
No, I think again, I know it can happen about they didn't pick up another wide receiver, but they did take some other interesting picks. I quite like. I think running back Ray Davis they took in I think it was the fourth round to. I think be a good compliment to Cooks there. I think potentially a good compliment to Cooks. It'll be interesting to see how they work that tandem. But yeah, I suppose it's all just about. We kept on hearing it last season as the Bills window closed, all that sort of stuff, and obviously
I can't wait till we start.
That'll start again, I'm sure.
Do we start the year with the window open or shut?
As soon as they lose a game, it'll happen. Yeah. So,
right, okay. Moving on, running down the rest of the East, the Jets. For me, the Jets picked up Fashanu at number 11. Yep. Solid tackle at Penn State. And yeah, the Jets need help on the line. Other than that, they went then back into the third round. They picked up a lot of depth picks, a lot of depth pieces, sorry. Brandon Allen, running back out of Wisconsin, is interesting.
But it was interesting. Strange, they also picked another running back later on in the draft.
Isaiah Davis.
You've got Hall there, so why are we picking up two running backs? I know depth is good, and running back always,
it's a position that breaks.
We all break. It seemed a bit of a slight luxury to take two, but yeah.
Quickly. So I'll be honest, I thought the Jets had a draft. There wasn't anything in it that certainly caught me out. Moving to the Dolphins, again, they were, obviously, Dolphins had a great year last year, so they weren't on the clock to 21. They got, if nothing excites you about American sport, it has to be the names of the players. As with the 21st pick of the NFL draft, the Miami Dolphins select Chop Robinson, edge from Penn State. An edge rusher as well called Chop. I'm choosing to believe my little fantasy world that I live in, folks, is that is his given name when he was born. There has been no hijinks in the background. He was born. His parents looked at him and went, "Joe, we're going to call you Chop."
Yeah, it was definitely one of the good names from this draft. I'm sure we'll come on to another one that was also another interesting. Coming from the UK, I suppose. I'm sure it's maybe a bit more normal in the States, but So yeah, but no, yeah, I think the Dolphins was okay. Actually, Scott Robinson, I think it was a good pick. I liked their Jalen Wright, the running back, and like a speedster in the running back. Again, maybe a bit. Do they need another speedster? But then that's all they're about, aren't they? Speed. So so yeah, I think they made some, and then I think they took another wide receiver in Washington. Which is again, obviously you got your two core there, but I'm not going to back up there or see where he goes. So yeah, I think overall it was. I keep saying this. It seemed like a reasonable draft. Another kind of another B or something like
do you know what? See if everybody listening, right? We're now introducing Gridiron-CRU shot games. Every time we call this draft reasonable, that was actually quite good. You need to take a shot. Every time, just to keep it going. So yeah, the East, there was nobody in there for me that had a sensational draft. I wouldn't say, but equally, I don't think anybody had a particularly poor one either. Moving on to the AFC North, and I don't want to talk about this. We'll start with Baltimore, who had a strong draft. Do you know what? This is going to be a bit of a thing with everybody in the North. Do you know what? I'm going to get Cleveland out of the way, and I'm going to get us done. Because, well, one, with the fewest picks in the North, which makes it easier, and two, with, as everyone knows, no first-round picks from them until the year 3048.
It's nearly over, Brian. It's nearly over.
Fall on the moon. So, yeah, the Browns picked up depth pieces across the board. That was our whole draft. There was nothing. There's, second-round pick, Michael Hall Jr. for Ohio State. Lots been made. It's the Ohio story. He's from the land and all the rest of it. He might come in and the second defensive interior, but that aside, Zentner, Jamari Thrash, all the rest of the guys that we drafted, they are there to provide depth. They're there for rotation. I would have liked us to have went linebacker a little earlier. I know the wisdom says against that, but I think it's probably the only area in our roster that we are light is at linebacker.
What about the other thing was interesting, I thought, which maybe a sign of the recovery, no running backs. I know they didn't have many picks to take a running back, but no running back.
Nah, I'm honestly gonna say Jerome Ford last year was absolutely fine as running back one. I think it's one of the things Browns fans are spoiled when it comes to watching Nick Chubb, because you go from having an exceptional run game to good, you all of a sudden think that that's poor. And it's not. Jerome Ford was fine. He was not Nick Chubb. He's never going to be Nick Chubb. But Chubb will be back November-ish. All we need is Ford to be fine until then. But yeah, so Browns out of the way. Browns, by virtue of everyone else getting stronger, got weaker. Is unfortunately probably... I say it, I mean it. I think our roster is better now than it was pre-draft. I don't think we've brought people in or we've not shipped anyone out. But everyone else in the division did a lot better. And you know what? I'll save the one team I really don't want to talk about to the end, so I can delay it a little bit. So, Baltimore, the Ratbirds, they had a fair amount of picks. So obviously, again, picking right at the end of the first, thanks to their successes last year. First round, Nate Wiggins, cornerback out of Clemson. They picked up a tackle in the second. Went edge, waited until the fourth to touch the offensive side of the ball before they went for a wide receiver. And again, for the rest of their picks, you've really seen what the Ravens were focusing on. Defense and that offensive line. They've got smart depth pieces in other places. But yeah, I like the Ravens draft. I particularly liked Adisa Isaac, edge at Penn State. I thought was a very good grab.
Yeah, I was going to say, the other good grabs. I think it was a good draft. I think the cornerback grabs, Nate Wiggins, I think was a good pick. And then they came back with it with TJ Tampa that kind of fell. I think he was predicted to go a lot higher, or reasonably a bit higher, and he kind of fell to the fourth. I think it was. Yeah, the fourth. So I think liked those two picks. So yeah, again, just I suppose I lost some players. I think in defense over the off season. So I think a wee bit. It seems, I think I really like that kind of where they went and who they took overall. So yeah, unfortunately, Brian, I think it was pretty, as you were saying, pretty strong draft from them. So
It sucks, doesn't it? Joe, there was the stat that I had actually from I'm probably butchering this guy's first name. Adisa Isaac. He recorded in since 2022, not in 22, since 2022. He's got 13.1% pass rush success rate. That's kind of like obscenely high. It's very, very good. So yeah,
Well, can only go down then, Brian. That's what you can take.
That's actually a great way of looking at this. This is it. He's going to come up against some NFL caliber O-lines, and his stats will plummet.
Terrible.
Right then, moving to Cincy. Probably the second weakest draft from the north, next to the Browns at the weakest, I would say. Bengals. They picked up Amarius Mims, tackle out of Georgia, at number 18 overall. Then it was a bit of a mixed draft from them. A lot of Bengals fans, I know, were hoping they'd maybe be a little bit more aggressive with tight end. Certainly a position that Cincy don't really have a lot of strength. Lots of chat, though, in Cincy about players leaving, which is obviously the big thing at the moment. We've got Hendrickson. He's just put a trade request in about a week ago. So that's going to be a big issue. Hugely talented player. How do they actually deal with the loss of him? It's going to be a big issue. But they did draft pretty kind of comprehensively across the board. Then they jump out of the Cincy draft to you.
I suppose when they kind of picked Burton wide receiver in the third, was that kind of hedging the bets in case something happens with Higgins? Or though I know Higgins came out a couple of weeks ago now, I'm sure came out saying basically he expects to play basically for them. But you think so?
He's gone.
I don't know anymore. But to be fair, you kind of feel they might have to now to get some value back. Otherwise, he'll just.
No, whoa, this is.
I don't know into that.
Contract when is it 1 year left?
I know. I said that with confidence, and I tailed off there. I was like,
yeah, like when exactly? 1 year it is. It's only signed a 1 year deal. So. Oh no, this is the old news that I'm looking at. T. Higgins franchise tag, request trade, all the rest of it. He wants it. He's going. That golden wide receiver room's getting chipped.
I did like the Mims pick. I think Mims pick was a good pick. He's meant to, I think he's, the crazy stat. I think this is crazy coming from, I don't know, listen to from the UK. Like he's only played like 8 starts or something like that, and he still gets drafted in the first round, which is fair enough. Like if he's got the talent, he's got the talent. But like that is a small sample size. So
it's the big question mark is around his health. But then again, if we have learned anything from watching Cincinnati football, is that they really need to do better in protecting Joe Burrow.
Yes.
Like, I honestly, I'm surprised if that man has anything left in his knee that's not metal. And it does, for a player that's as talented as Joe Burrow is, he can't win you games if he's battered. So yeah, I get it. I'm on board with the Bengals picks more or less. Now, I really hate doing this. The fucking Steelers had an exceptionally good draft. Oh, why are they such a well-run organization?
The first round pick was I can't pronounce it. Pastunu. I think he was picked to go a bit higher than where he went. What, the 20th? I think he was overall.
He was ranked 15. He went 20th. I call it. My rankings, I'm leaning on our PFFs. PFF had him 15. He went 20th.
I thought he had a wee bit higher, but I suppose he failed him a wee bit with all the quarterbacks going. So yeah, I think that was a nice play. Other one which stood out, I think, was Wilson linebacker, and the two Wilsons, even the wide receiver and the linebacker. But he was kind of, I think, Wilson, the linebacker, Peyton Wilson. I think he's got a wee bit of maybe history with medical issues, but overall, I think it's been speedy and stuff like that. So yeah, I think, as you say, another solid Pittsburgh draft, really. Not to rub it in.
Yeah, it's sickening. It's really sickening. They then went, so they grabbed the big ones for me that for all you fantasy football fans out there, they have really, really strengthened that offensive line. So Najee Harris shares through the roof. That offensive line got a lot better. You know what I mean? They've added a new centre. They get Mason McCormick playing at guard in the fourth as well, who fell. And he's just their whole draft, every pick that came in for them, I just looked at and thought that's an excellent pick. Even the wide receiver, and even Pittsburgh love drafting wide receivers really well. Roman Wilson, they had him pegged. PFF had him pegged as an early second pick, and Pittsburgh got him at 84 overall.
Yeah, so, I know. Yeah, I think it was good. That was a good, as you say, they're renowned for getting their wide receivers. And yeah, I think it might be another one on the cards, possibly. We'll see.
Yeah, it was good. It was strong. Right, keeping it moving. We're going to move into the AFC South. So we will kick this one off with the Houston Texans. The darling of football at the minute is everybody seems to think the Houston Texans are Super Bowl champions elect, which I do find quite amusing. But yeah, they also didn't have any first round picks this year. So they kicked things off in the second with a cornerback, Kamari Lassitier.
Yeah. We'll go with that.
He's from Georgia, so there could be a French thing going on there. Again, you look at what they picked up, and it was largely, with the exception of Cade Stover and Jawar Jordan, it was all, as I double check to make sure I'm not talking mince, more or less all on defense, which does tell you a lot. The Texans have put a lot in to their offense over the offseason already. We all know about the Diggs trade. So adding just to, or well, not just, extensively to D certainly seemed like the clever decision. What did you think? Did you make anything big out of the Texans?
I think as you say, they also kind of took some. I think it was a Fisher from the offensive tackle, and a cornerback in the second round, as you're saying last year. I think he was paid to go I think around about that. I think maybe a wee bit slower than maybe in his pre-draft process sort of thing. But yeah, I think overall they're building their pieces around. They've got their kind of, as you say, their offensive wide receiver set. You know, they've also brought in Mixon as well and for the running back room. So yeah, makes sense to be focused on the defensive side of the ball and trying to strengthen that. Get some shorter fields for old CJ Stroud sort of thing. So we'll see.
Yeah. Right. Moving on. The Jags. Now, this is one of the first ones that properly excited me. Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver out of LSU. So going to the Jags, they've already got Gabe Davis. Woohoo! Right. For what it's worth, I respect the mucky work that Gabe Davis does, as he does huge amounts of blocking and stuff like that at wide receiver. But when you think wide receiver, you do not think of Gabe Davis, and I challenge anyone to tell me otherwise. So they've got Christian Kirk and Zay Jones, who I don't think it's controversial to say Zay Jones has been a bit of a nobody. But Brian Thomas Jr. is fast. Like, fast. He's not Xavier Worthy. He wasn't breaking the 40-yard dash record, but he is quick. And he's going there. He gives... Is this an attempt at giving giving T-Law that real serious vertical threat that, you know, when you can't ignore the deep route, because if he gets it, he's going to gash you for the touchdown.
Yeah, well, obviously, I think, yeah, definitely. I think, you know, there probably is a wee bit of overlap with Davis, because Davis was known for kind of trying to take the top off of when he was at the Bills. But yeah, I think the Brian Thomas pick, yeah, it was a really good pick. Of course, they moved back. I think they traded with the Vikings out of the 17 and back to the 23rd, which and still managed to get Thomas there. So I think that worked out for them quite nicely. And you see, they lost Ridley to the Titans at the offseason. So I think they needed to do something there, wide receiver, to give Lawrence some help. But yeah, it'll be exciting to see. I felt like last year the Jags were one of the teams I was looking forward to at the start of the season to see what they did. And they kind of just treaded water, maybe for a better phrase. It'll be interesting to see where they go. I think Thomas is a sensible, good pick. See and give, you know, I think, as you say, Kirk's going to do the underneath work. And they've still got Ingram there. I'm sure he's still there, tight end.
Evan Ingram, yep, absolutely.
So yeah, it made sense. I say a wee bit of overlap probably with Davis overall, but Davis, I suppose everyone knows at times it goes hot and cold, for a better phrase, I suppose. So can Brian Thomas be that person who's more consistent? That's what we'll be hoping anyway, I'm sure.
It's gonna be a big question. To say the Jags are a team that I don't know. They're the one against what? There's lots of teams that do this, but they're one of those teams. It seems every offseason we're talking about it's going to be the Jags year this year. It's going to be them. It's going to be them. It's going to be them. This is going to be the year that T-Law shows us why he was worth the draft capital that was spent on him. So we'll wait and we'll see. Moving to Indy. Now I am going to do my best win this first pick. I'm going to try, and I'm going to do my very best. Latatu, which I'm probably exceedingly insensitive here, and that is probably a name with fabulous heritage behind it, but it does give me like vibes of it's just a tongue twister that some of these parents made purely.
I shouldn't laugh at that. It's terrible.
Wind up teachers.
No, yeah, that was the first defensive player off the board, pick 15.
Yes,
so yeah, no, that was a nicely fell to them there. Obviously he was predicted to go pretty high. He's probably top edge in the draft. I know there's a bit of concerns about, I think he had a neck injury, previously, so that's maybe the only concern there. That's maybe question marks, but yeah. Indy, and then later on they got Mitchell, Adonal Mitchell, I think his first name. I can't pronounce that either. It's terrible. He kind of fell. He was predicted as well. Maybe to go. I think there was chat of him maybe still being in the first rounds. He dropped.
Yeah.
Near the back of the second.
Right. So, how's this for a start for Adonai Mitchell? Over the past 2 years, 103 targets. Would you care to take a guess at how many drops he has?
I'm going to go with none. Apparently, with this the way you built up.
No, it's not quite that.
No, close.
One.
Oh well, close.
Singular drop. So yeah, big bodied red zone target. And yeah, again, somebody that was not projected to be kicking about at pick 52 overall. And yeah, as you say, Latu had some medical red flags, neck injury, all the rest of it, but yeah, he was that side projected to probably be a top 10 pick. Yeah, but then again, it's one where the Colts are just, it's the bit of the good fortune of the draft. They are sitting there with, what was it, 10 of the opening, 6 of the opening 12 players drafted were quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Which is wild. And yeah, so they just took advantage of the board that was in front of them.
Yeah.
Last but not least, before we move on to the West, the Titans, probably one of the few drafts that I didn't particularly like. I think the Titans have got way more needs than they addressed, like quarterback, which must have been one of them. So yeah, they went for, to be fair, the big targets they would have had at quarterback were gone by the time it came in at 7. So they went for J.C. Latham in the first, big tackle out of Alabama. And then from there on in, yeah, they grabbed a wide receiver in the 6th, but they just went exclusively defense. So I don't know.
No, it's funny. Like, I suppose leading up to draft, all the mocks had Joe Alt going to the Titans. Obviously, you drafted before them, and Latham, don't get me wrong, strong, predicted a high pick, good pick. But then you're like, have they just kind of gone, sugar, we need to kind of pick someone quickly. But no, yeah, I know what you mean. They seem to. Yeah, it was a bit of a.
It's a draft hard one to get behind, I think.
Yeah, it's a hard one to grade. But I'm kind of looking at the whole list now. Like, as you say, there's just obviously I know every team will say that for every team haven't got needs, but yeah, you just kind of feel overall, did they do quite enough? I'm not quite sure.
They address their needs. My response would be no. I am just going to from the Browns fan, no less. I am glad I am not a fan of the Titans going into the season, because I am sorry to the people of Tennessee. I think you've got a long year ahead of you. Right, moving on, rounding off the AFC, we're going to put pins in a wee bit. Chiefs, big one. It's all about Xavier Worthy, surely. they've picked up things across the board, but it's all about getting that big, fast target. Have we replaced the cheetah?
Well, yeah. Well, it's either that or MVS. They've replaced one of them, maybe. So
One of those is less exciting than the others.
Yeah, hopefully, cheetah.
You've replaced Tyreek Hill or MVS. They are not the same.
Yeah. No, yeah. Obviously, yeah. That was just speed, isn't it? But I suppose no, he's going to be a better route runner overall, I think, than there's obviously comparisons to John Ross, I think was the previous record holder for the 40-yard dash in the combine. So, but yeah, it's they need some more wide receivers, don't they? They've been the wide receivers over the last couple of years just haven't quite hit the mark. I know they've got Rice now that seems to have certainly had a strong end to the season. Also, I know there's off-field stuff that we won't go into today, but yeah, I think the Chiefs overall, I like their pick. This Sumatai, the tackle, the second round. Yeah. He's a big lad. He was, I think, a lot of people had him kind of earmarked, as you say, kind of second, third round pick, and we're eyeing him up as a kind of, if they didn't get a top tackle in the first round, to come get him. So I think that was a good one. Another one I quite liked, Jaden Hicks, their safety in the fourth, kind of fell a bit, I think. That was another kind of a good round. Interesting one. Another one I thought was a bit interesting. I don't know too much about him, so I can't comment too much. Was their tight end they took in the fourth, which also I thought was a bit.
Jan Wiley.
It's interesting. Also, the news today that Kelsey signed a new contract, another 2-year contract. So again, did they need to take a tight end in the fourth? I don't know. But
we really believe that that's going to be a full 2 years, though.
Well, you never. So we'll see. But yeah, I think. I say KC moving up to get Worthy as well. Yeah, I think I kind of as they are like a kind of well-run, organised team. They can't really end against that since what they've done the last few seasons, can you? So
yeah,
trust what they're doing.
Unfortunately, we can't. Well, I can try, but unfortunately, studs would immediately join the pod just to wave rings in my face.
Yeah.
Right, moving to Las Vegas, who I like to think, for all the Raider Nation fans out there, I like to think that they were calling around aggressively trying to trade up to take a quarterback, and they just couldn't get a deal done. But to be fair, they got the best tight end available in the draft at 13. Brock Bowles, a lot of chat of him going to a lot of places. So, yeah, a very exciting ad. Because alongside, they obviously went reasonably aggressively for Michael Mayer last year, tight end. So they've got a very, very young and interesting kind of tandem of tight ends.
Yeah.
And then, again, I kind of smartened a picture in a minute, but I don't know if any of the Brock Bowles is obviously the big one that they've went and picked up. I don't know if anybody else really jumped out at you for the Raiders draft, Liam.
I say also Bowers, I think, and that ultimately could be a steal. And then in the end, obviously they didn't get the team left out, as you say, from the quarterback run, but he was definitely the other one. I think was Power Johnson, their centre in the second round.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be. I think this earmarked for probably maybe a starter straight off the back. So, I liked that. Was kind of a nice piece to put in there. And then the other one was like way a bit further down. There was a lot of chat of would Xavier White be the running back? Would they pick another running back up? And I don't think take one to the 6th, but we shall see. So yeah, I think he might be more of a kind of pass catching kind of running back. The one that got Laub, I think is
Laube. And again, this is a one there from New Hampshire, so I've no idea what heritage that name may have. Yeah, and he is. He is very much a receiving back. Probably a bit of special teams as well. But yeah, moving on to the Broncos, which like Bo Nix at 12. I get it that he wouldn't have been there when it came back, particularly given that the Broncos were back on the board till the 3rd round. But Bo Nix, that's
I won't lie, I didn't see that coming. But then I know when I first saw it, I was like, "Is this just a quarterback?" But then you hear, I'm sure Peyton came out and said, "Oh no, we're high on him," and
your guy,
your guy. But yeah, that was I suppose I don't really know what to make of that pick. Again, it's probably not the biggest quarterback shock, shall we say? We'll come on to that later, I'm sure.
No, yeah, sure.
But then I suppose they kind of went back and they got Troy Franklin in the fourth.
Yes, they did.
To reunite the two of them together. I know there's been a bit kind of, a lot of people seem to either like Franklin or don't like Franklin. Seems a bit of pick.
I like pairing them together. I like keeping the duck together. I like
that idea as well. The other one I quite liked was the running back Estime. I know they've got Williams still there, but he's probably, I don't know, he must be coming to the end of his rookie deal. He's had his injuries, so I quite like that. From Notre Dame, I think. So I think he had a good season, and I think he was kind of I know the running backs were a bit. A lot of people didn't say it was a great.
It's not been a legendary running back year this year.
But I think that was a nice pickup for them at the back of, I think it was in the fifth. So I think that was a nice wee pickup. But right. I think the Bo Nix one obviously is a headline there, I suppose.
Absolutely. Right, let's round off the AFC and then we'll get charging through the NFC. So big one for the Chargers is obviously the one, the only Joe Alt tackle at Notre Dame. Coming out at 5 overall. Even then, I think few people were still not majorly surprised, but very slightly surprised that he fell as far as 5. Top talent. And I don't know if you've seen the meme doing the rounds on all the various social medias that he is just the most relaxed looking man in the month. Have you seen all these people go to the draft and they've got a big flashy suits on and the jewelry on, and then you've got Joe Alt sat in his living room wearing a quarter zip jumper. Just look like he's there to watch football. He's not there to play it. He's there to get handed a beer. But yes, so the Chargers obviously taking that step and trying to put more of a line in front of Justin Herbert to stop him dying.
Definitely a good start. No, I think the Chargers, I quite like that. I say Joe Alt was definitely, they weren't mocked to take him, but it was definitely a good pick. And McConkey, the wide receiver in the second, and coming back, I think they picked up a couple of wide receivers later on. Obviously that's been their kind of the story of their off season is getting rid of their 2 top wide receivers, really. So that was definitely some smart moves. The other one kind of stood out was Junior Colson, the linebacker from Michigan.
Yes,
obviously. I'm sure Harbour will know all about him, so he will know him inside out. So that was I think a good and a strong draft overall, especially when there was all the chat of where they're going to trade Herbert and all this sort of stuff, all the stories you hear in off season or before the draft.
Those are great stories.
Like
Justin Herbert getting traded so they can move up to get Bo Nix.
Yeah, it's never going to happen. Or it should never have happened, even if it did. If it was going to happen,
it would have been interesting. But again, pretty strong. Right, moving into the NFC. So let's get rolling. I want to give you a minute to talk about your Packers. Moving into the East again. Starting with the Cowboys. 29. They picked up a tackle, Tyler Guyton at Oklahoma. Then they went edge. And then they went offensive line again by getting Cooper Beebe. And then it kind of disintegrates into other bits and bobs for there. Big takeaways for the Cowboys?
I suppose the biggest takeaway is they didn't take a running back. I know those.
I think you'll find. I think
they have now, yes.
Have now. Back. Listen, cereal shops in Dallas rejoice. Zeke's back in the building. But yes, they didn't. They elected to re-sign Ezekiel Elliott.
I think there was because I'm sure there's a recording of them talking up. I can't remember which running back it was now, but basically kind of saying over how high they had him on the draft board, and then who was it took him? I think it was it Carolina that took him? Brooks.
Yes.
And you're like just kind of giving away how they viewed him. It was like talking up so much, and then they didn't get him. I was like, great, we'll carry on with that. We'll just ignore that part of it. So we'll just keep going.
Moving on.
Moving on. But I suppose as you say, now they've addressed it. It's all fine. Moving
from one team that was to another team that really, in the name of football, we didn't need having a good draft, and they did. Philadelphia Eagles. Excellent draft for me. Picking up, the double dip at corner for the first and the second, particularly Cooper DeJean falling in the second, I thought was a hell of a grab. I was really surprised that Cooper fell into the second, but there he is.
No, I he was kind of mocked quite a lot to the Packers in the first round, and he was sitting there. The Philly came up to pick ahead of the Packers in the second to pick him, so it was kind of a bit of bittersweet that he went. But yeah, it's slightly annoying that the Eagles had such a good draft again. I think Quinton Mitchell in the first, arguably the strongest cornerback, and then as they come up to Cooper DeJean, he's I think marked as a cornerback, but he can probably play safety as well and stuff. Can move around the back, the secondary.
Flexibility, we love it.
And who else did we take? We took Will Shipley, another running back, who's kind of, I suppose, back up for
just rotation pieces. Yeah,
but I suppose it'd be interesting to see if he's kind of third down back or whatever. So yeah. But yeah, overall, annoyingly, another strong draft.
Now moving on to the G-men who have obviously committed to Danny Dollars for at least one more year, probably just one more year. I need to say they have ruined one of my favoured rookies going into this draft. I was really quite excited about Malik Neighbours. I really did have quite a lot of high hopes for him, and he get drafted to the Giants, and all of my optimism around him utterly sank. So I'm sorry, Giants fans. I think you might be ruining this young man's career.
At least he's going in. He'll be wide receiver one for them. At least he's got that, won't he? So
well, that is true. Unfortunately, I think I could be wide receiver one in the Giants, but it's not great praise. But yeah, he's a great pickup. Fabulous talent. I just have no faith in the Giants passing game. Particularly now they don't have Saquon. So it's kind of going to be going. And Waller might be retiring. Maybe. Who knows? Who knows what Darren Waller's thinking?
To be fair, they did take a tight end later on, Theo Johnson. So
I'm sure Theo Johnson's going to be a straight replacement.
I suppose. They've got another tight end there as well. I was wanting to say Bellinger, but I don't think that's the right name. But
I need to look. But yeah, point being, I don't think, unfortunately, that the Giants are going to be finishing far off the floor of the NFC East.
To give them a due, I did one pick. I did like the Newman pick, their safety they took in the second.
Tyler Newman from Minnesota. He was the top ranked.
Give them something. Let's not totally go down on
it. Listen, somebody's got to play well. It might as well with their defense. It's certainly not going to be that offense. Top ranked safety prospect, and picking him up at 47 overall.
It's because obviously nicely was nice for us. Obviously, the Packers we picked up McKinney.
Yes,
McKinstry in the free agency, so they lost him, so kind of replacing that, I suppose.
Now, on to another one that was one we were all very, very excited about, just because they were number 2 overall. Commanders, no big shocks at number 2 overall. Again, we'll get to number 1 overall in a couple of minutes. But they went for Jaden Daniels out of LSU. And that is the story of the Commanders draft. You know what I mean? I do find it interesting. A lot of people had Drake May projected ahead of Jaden Daniels. Obviously Washington did not. But it is one of these ones where I think that's just scheme fit. I think Daniels just agrees a wee bit better with Cliff Kingsbury and what he'll want to do with him. But yeah, I think I'm always hesitant, and we'll get to my utter hesitance when we do get to Chicago later, of anointing rookie quarterbacks too quickly. Some of them can do well, but I'm always more of a fan of the old-fashioned model of letting them sit behind somebody experienced for a year or so and learn their craft. Very much the Green Bay model. But yeah, what did you make of the Commanders?
Actually, when I look back at the Commanders, I really liked their draft, actually. Daniels, I was assuming it was, I thought, from what I was reading before the draft, it was always going to go to them in number 2. They picked up Newton in the second, which I think he was predicted, I think, to go in the first round. So I think he kind of fell a bit. So that was definitely a good pick. He kind of came back with Ben Sinnott at tight end, and they got him in the second. Another weapon for Daniels, I suppose. I think it was a good first draft for the kind of new owners and in there, kind of resetting their storyline a wee bit. I think maybe hopefully, well, that's what we'll be hoping anyway. So yeah, actually quite. And then obviously, who else did they take the socks? Oh yeah, Luke McCafferty, another McCafferty in the NFL. Yeah. So yeah, I think thinking about Daniels, he's got a good core around him, and all the whole kind of storyline for the last year's quarterback one, Bryce Young not having the pieces around him to be a success. But Daniels has obviously got McLaurin there already. Dotson was wide receiver there as well. Was done all right. A
lot of faith in Dotson.
So I think the pieces to put in. I think overall a quite strong draft.
Yeah. Right. Shifting. We'll move into the north. The north. The two norths are, I need to say, two of the most intriguing divisions in all of football. I'm going to say both the NFC and AFC for different reasons, but they are the two most intriguing. I'm going to say. Go with Lions first. I'm going to say of everybody in the north, sorry Lions fans, you had the most boring draft. I could say everybody else was more interesting than you. So yeah, nothing too flashy for the Lions. They traded up to get cornerback Terry and Arnold.
Yeah, that was a good move.
Will be incredible. Arnold's going to walk straight onto the field, and he's going to be a big dog, and he's going to do some pretty nutty things, no doubt.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping he was going to fall to us. Like I say, they moved up just ahead. Because Mitchell and Arnold both kind of fell a wee bit the cornerback.
I think that's really the story of the Lions draft. It's a big move to step in there, and then they've got another cornerback in Ennis Rakestraw Jr. in the second round. They picked the safety Sion Vaki up as well. So it's all stuff that looks at trying to reinforce that secondary. Try and basically make Goff not need to be such a fucking superhero all the time. But yeah, it was a good draft. Don't get me wrong, Lions fans. By me saying it was boring, I'm not saying it's bad. Just saying it wasn't as interesting as, for example, the Green Bay Packers draft. Liam, talk to me. Talk to me about your draft.
It was a draft.
15,000 draft picks.
I know. Overall, pretty pleased with it. I think overall, I say it wasn't flashy. It wasn't we weren't going for skill positions. We took one skill position. We've got Lloyd in the third, who I think was it Jeremiah said he was his top running back or something. That was a headline of that pick, I think. But I think obviously that was a good move we need to make because we're a bit short on running back. But yeah, overall, we took Morgan in the first, who. He's meant to be a left tackle. When it's chat with maybe moving inside the guard. But I think the only thing that kind of came up, I think, was his slightly smaller arms. Who thought we talk about arms so much, length? Something about the chat was like the ID was like 33 and he's like 32 and 7/8 or something like that. Something ridiculously small. That's a huge difference. I suppose they've got to be cut off somewhere, so we'll see. But yeah, no, I think overall I quite liked it, and we kind of addressed our needs. We addressed. Obviously, we've got a new defenses coordinator in there now, and he's made a change of scheme. So we've got some linebackers. Cooper, I really like to pick Cooper, the linebacker, in the second, and Bullard, the safety as well. We need another safety as well. I picked up a couple more safeties, and then we got really on, which you hear every time. Keelan King, cornerback, apparently was meant to go way high. We should have gone way higher. Kind of fell off. Always the chat of, he was a sleeper pick, yada, yada, yada. We shall see. But yeah, overall, nothing flashy, nothing. Wasn't like last year where we were picking up all the offensive players, we're taking wide receivers and tight ends and stuff. I suppose it's probably not.
We did that last year to wind Rodgers up.
Well, we still didn't take one in the first, though. We still didn't do that. So.
Right, moving on. So again, with a big story around the Minnesota Vikings. And obviously, the story is JJ McCarthy. 10th overall, coming out of Michigan. Is he now the much maligned Kirk Cousins? Because Kirk gets a lot of heat. I'm a big fan of Kirk. I think he's a really good QB. Is JJ McCarthy going to be able to step in straight away, or is it a case where I'm going to make him sit behind Sam Darnold?
I know you laugh at that. I think they should for a wee bit at least. I don't know if they will, but
it's kind of like being taught to read by a blind man. But I'm sorry, Sam Darnold. I know you're a big fan of the show, mate. But I just don't think you're very good at the game. So I don't think there's masses. This is where Green Bay did it for years and they were good at it. Sitting Love behind Rodgers is very different to sitting behind Sam Darnold.
Yes, I'll give you that. Yes. Yeah, I don't know. I think they should sit him for a wee bit and then let McCarthy come in.
Let him loose.
I suppose only just to get him confidence. I suppose the whole storyline for him was that he didn't have to throw the ball much with Michigan.
Yes.
Maybe just get him into, get him a wee bit embedded into NFL offense. Obviously he's got the weapons there to throw the ball around, definitely. So that'll be it's going to be interesting to see how that goes, I suppose. I suppose that's the thing, isn't it? How happy can they keep Jefferson for the contract coming up? So, yeah, but they needed to take a quarterback. They couldn't, nicest possible way, as you say, Sam Darnold couldn't go. I don't think any Viking fans would be too happy if they just went in with Sam Darnold as a quarterback for the whole season. But yeah, I think overall, there was chat of them moving up higher, but get McCarthy pick 10, I think it was overall. So we shall see.
It's the one, yeah. Do we just think that basically the end point of this is they get shot at Kirk? This means that they've got a rookie quarterback. They can run him for the 4 years in his rookie deal. JJ can get paid.
Exactly. They've got the money to pay him, so exactly.
Yeah, you can put up with a lot of poor quarterback pay when you're being paid. Is the best wide receiver in the league. So yeah, I don't know. The cynic in me thinks that's maybe what's happening here. Moving on to
well, before we go on, the only thing I was going to say, I did like their Turner pick. They moved up for Turner in the first. They moved up.
That is very true. That was a good
which was definitely a good replacing Hunter. I think they lost Hunter in the offseason, their edge. Yeah. So yeah, that was definitely
good replacement. Right. Moving on to one of the big stories that everybody saw coming. It's one of these great ones when it's, and the Chicago Bears are on the clock, and for some reason it took them 9 minutes and 59 seconds to say what everybody knew they were saying for the last 3 months. Yes, they obviously went for Caleb Williams. I am going to be honest, I think Rome Odunze is a bigger story in terms of I didn't necessarily see them going that way at night. Everybody knew they were drafting Caleb, and it's Caleb. As I kind of alluded to earlier, I am a lot cooler on Caleb than many. I am not saying he's not a talented player. I am not saying he's not a massive prospect. I am saying he's a rookie. And he's coming into the league, and we have seen rookies struggle. So we'll see. But picking up Dunze in the second, everyone wishes. 9th, I think that was a big pick. And yeah, I think he would. That's kind of where I was hoping Neighbours would go. But I get it. Many disagree with me on this one. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. What's your... Now, I've got one bit I'm not mentioning about the Bears draft, so I'm going to come back to it later because of my thing that baffled me most, the Bears, you have it. What were your take on the Bears draft?
I suppose, yeah, it was... It hurts me to say it was a strong draft, I suppose. They didn't have many picks to mess up on, I suppose. So, yeah, Williams obviously was a shoe-in. And Odunze, I can't say I'm glad to see him in the North, shall I say. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how now they've got Moore, they've got Allen, how they're going to mix them in. So
it's a lot of mouths to feed. It's a lot of it for a
obviously, it's not. Obviously, it's a good problem to have. Not saying I wouldn't be, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they do it.
A point that Colin Cowherd made that you can't disagree with. It is going to be the most changed offense in the league next year. That is so. It's changed at its absolute core. So seeing what Chicago can do next year is going to be exceptionally interesting. Right, we're going to keep marching on. We've got 2 to go. So let's shift through these with a bit of pace. Tampa Bay Buccaneers moving to the NFC South. I like the pickups, particularly the guard and the sixth, Elijah Klein, and Graham Barton at Duke in the first.
Yep.
I don't think the Bucs had a horrendous O-line last year, but I think it could have been a lot better. Baker dumped off. Does dump off a lot, but Baker dumped off a lot last year. I think this will maybe give him a little bit more time to try and find Mike Evans, who they paid. So yeah, I was a fan of this. Big grab at Chris Braswell at 57 as well. I thought was a really, really nice one. Yeah, I think he's again trying to help out with the run blocking and stuff. I thought was great.
Yeah, as you alluded to Barton, I think the first was a good pick. Other one interesting one was McMillan, the wide receiver. Fell a wee bit. I think he was maybe went to go. Well, as you say, it's all relative, isn't it? Apparently a wee bit higher. But yeah, and then obviously came in with Buck Irving as well, another running back to kind of back up White there, I suppose. We'll see how that shakes out.
Yeah. Moving to New Orleans to the Saints. Now, I will let you discuss their second round pick, because I feel when we were discussing names earlier, this may have been who you were referring to. But yeah, they opened up with 14 overall. They went Talise Fuaga out of Oregon State. Again, apologies if I'm butchering that poor guy's name. He's an excellent. This guy is elite. In terms of run blocking, he is absolutely incredibly good. So yeah, he's a great pickup. Their second round pick, the cornerback out of Alabama.
Good old Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid McKinstry.
That's a great name. That's amazing. Imagine getting shirts with that on your back. It's amazing.
There's no way. When he was born, that's what happens. Ladies and gents are listening. That's what happens when the dad is allowed to sign the birth certificate unsupervised. This is what happens.
To be fair, he's predicted to be a good cornerback. So hopefully,
yes,
I'm hoping he lasts or stays in the league a long time, because it's a great name. It's amazing.
Well, now it's sauce and Kool-Aid and corner them.
I'm sure they'll get some sponsorship out of that, won't they, in New Orleans, into their stadium.
That then also the other big one in New Orleans, Spencer Rattler.
Yeah, they stopped the QB. Non-drafting QBs, shall we put it, for after the top 6 went. So yeah.
Good grabbing him. To be fair, don't know. He's just a development project. Nobody expects Spencer Rattler to do much, but getting him in the 5th is decent value. Yeah. Now on to one of the. I'd say there weren't many, but poor drafts, if I'm going to call it that. The Atlanta Falcons. Michael Penix Jr. at 8 overall. That was a choice.
That was a choice. Yeah, that was. Yeah, when it first happened, it didn't make sense to me at all. I know,
just paid Kirk Cousins $180 million.
Exactly. I know it's only really a 2-year deal for Kirk Cousins, but still, you paid him guaranteed money. I think it's $100 million guaranteed, and then you're getting off season. You pay Cousins. That's your quarterback now for the season. That's your kind of franchise player, and then you pick up Penix in the 8th. I know the afterwards their whole line was that they don't feel they're ever going to be drafting that high again, etc. Because they have so much faith in Cousins that they won't be up there, be able to draft a top quarterback. And they've alluded to you touched on the Packers model earlier, having him sit for a couple of years. But it's just not quite this. Definitely not the same thing. Still, as I said earlier, it's not having Rodgers sitting with Love coming behind with Rodgers, being basically the franchise quarterback for so many seasons on the end of his tenure, and having Love come in. We've just paid Cousins to be the replacement, and then they pick up Penix.
Penix's age as well.
Sorry, yeah. Penix's age. He's 20. He's going to be 24 shortly, I think. So
yeah, so he's going to be. if they did the idea that, because again the owner was saying, oh, what a great problem to have. We could sit him for 3, for 4. He'll be 28 when you then know you're not sitting him. You do not sit a player, even a quarterback, until they're 28.
Another thing as well, like we're talking about all these rookie quarterbacks going off so early. It's like a bit of the off season was like the 2021 draft where Wilson, Lance, Fields, Jones. I know they all didn't get drafted as highly, but that was a Lawrence draft as well. But look what's happened to them. I'm not going to say that's the same thing is going to happen to all these quarterbacks, but there's going to be misses here. There's going to be a miss. So you're taking that risk.
Yeah.
Have them sitting. Well, maybe, as you say, maybe it is the way to do it. We obviously coming from the Packers side, we've managed to do it twice now. Maybe it is the way to go. Maybe they are just a step ahead of the game. Who knows? Time will tell. We won't know for a couple of years though. So
to be fair, Patrick Mahomes was graded as a C draft prospect when he was drafted. So what do we know? Right, last one in the South, the Panthers. We're going to do this one quick because, again, in terms of teams that maybe didn't have the strongest of drafts, unfortunately, Panthers fans, I think you are in this bucket. Although Xavier Legette has got the most amazing accent in the world ever. If you have not seen the interview that he did post-draft, you must. Do not walk, run to X. Get on the search for it. It is fabulous. The guy has got an accent to die for. It's brilliant. I just hope he plays as well as he talks.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can jump to you, the Panthers draft. I'll be honest.
I think going on a bit like it. I know we've talked about being a deep wide receiver room in this kind of for the draft. I think he was borderline in the kind of one mix. Then moving up to get him, he moved up. I know they moved up one spot, but they moved up to take the Bills pick. And he only had. He's had one strong season. It was his last one. So is that a risk? Maybe not. Maybe he's just finally got it and he knows what he's doing now, and that's it. He's finally clicked and he's good to go. Brooks, I think, was this kind of earmarked the running back, was kind of touted as probably one of the top running backs. So they took him as they took him off from Dallas apparently. Obviously he's coming off an ACL injury, which hopefully be back fully fit by the time the season starts. But again, we talked about Bryce Young not being in the best situation last season. Is that another risk? Waiting for a player to come back from an injury? I don't know. It was like anything else, like all of it. Time will tell. But it was, as you were alluding to, it was a wee bit of a dicey moves. Maybe not. Maybe dicey is the right word, but yeah.
No, I'm with you. I think dicey is the right word. Right, moving into our final division, wrapping this draft review show up. We look at the NFC West, starting with the San Francisco 49ers. It's very difficult to make the Avengers much better. So I don't think it's a big shock to anybody that the Niners really just focused on, from my view anyway, lots of depth pieces. I don't really see. There you go.
The story I was going to say, the story there was all the chat of them maybe trading one of their wide receivers, and in day one there was all that chat, and then that got
today though.
And then they took Purcell, and then they took him in the end of the first, and then all that chat got shut down, and that once day two started, it was like, you missed your chance, that's gone. We're just going to run it all back, sort of thing. So, Purcell, as you say, is it a death piece? Again, I think he did kind of.
Being wide receiver 3 behind Debo and Brandon Ayuk is not an insult.
Oh, yeah. I think he'll be good. He still was one of the top wide receivers in the draft, so maybe not everyone's top 5 or anything like that, but he's still up there. But I think it was probably their story. And then they drafted another running back. I know they like drafting running backs every year. Only one this year though. So again, just as you're kind of saying, just is that just more depth, as you say. They've got McCaffrey there, so
has to be. Right, moving to the Rams. I'll be honest, they picked up Jared Verse at 19 overall, who's a very, very good looking edge. Definitely. Is he going to replace Aaron Donald? Don't be ridiculous. But they need to try and replace Aaron Donald, so they might as well.
I feel a bit bad for him because that's what all the chat's going to be, isn't it?
You're not going to replace an Aaron Donald, but he's got big shoes to fill, and he's in a good organisation. One that I liked for the Rams is the third round, their running back, Blake Corum, out of Michigan.
Yeah, I was going to say that as well. Yeah, I
liked that. Thought that was a good value pick. The Rams did a lot of picks, to be fair, 4 in the 6th, picking a bunch of different areas. So again, similar, lots and lots of depth work going on with the Rams. The Rams had a good year last year. Well, 10-7. They had a pretty good year last year.
Yeah,
so
definitely had a good year, better than what I think they were predicted to go. Corum pick I liked. I think he's kind of, I'm chatting here, and he's kind of quite similar to Williams, but Williams, I suppose, got a bit banged up last year. So yeah, I think that makes sense to. I don't actually know who's behind Williams actually. So yeah, it makes sense to pick up some. So yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy your implication. There's been a time that Williams wasn't banged up. Moving second last penultimate team of the review, the Seattle Seahawks. Yeah, again on drafts that just I really I didn't get a lot of the Seahawks draft. I'm going to be honest. Sorry, Keith. Like getting Byron Murphy. There.
Yeah, I like that move. Yeah,
but I like Byron Murphy. I don't really think that that's where the Seahawks needed to add. But yeah, I suppose it's one of these ones. I suppose is it better to have an exceptionally strong defensive interior or just a strong one? So I suppose that's kind of what they're going for.
Yeah.
Other ones, I'm trying to think of other bits that really jumped out. I liked the linebacker, Tiny Snipe. I thought that was a good ad because he's a bit of an unknown. I like a bit of a mystery player. He's not had a huge very so. Thank you to the World team chipping in on the YouTube. It is very much a case of he was best player available, but it's the old ad. It's the old question mark when it comes to drafting. Do you go best player available, or do you just go get your guy? Yeah, do you go get your guy? Do you go for the Penix approach and just go get your guy? But yeah, I don't know if anything about the Seahawks draft jumped out at you, Liam.
I'd be lying if it did too much. I'd say it was.
Yeah, it's.
I feel I felt the same with Seattle last year draft, and then they actually, when they actually put it all together, it actually was all right.
I think that, but 9 and 8, all right is not that great.
I know, but yeah, I felt it was worse than maybe. It's not as bad as maybe what it looks on paper, but we'll see. So.
We will see. It's going to be all about Gino, which is not a big shocker. Right, last one. It is the final one. It is the Arizona Cardinals. I like the Cardinals draft a lot. Now, PFF only graded the Cardinals at a B+, which I think is harsh. I think the Cards had a good draft. I very much enjoyed it, although I am a little bit of a Kyler truther. So there's big shades of that too. They obviously, headline for them, Marvin Harrison Jr., number 4 overall, giving Kyler that big weapon. And then they strengthened a whole host of different places. The Cards had as I try and count very quickly, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 picks in the draft this year. So you've got a lot of capital to play with. So you can afford to throw things at the wall and see what sticks. I liked it. I thought it was a good draft. Where did you land with the Cards?
You know what? I kind of tend to agree. I say Harrison, obviously, it made sense. Take him in the 4th overall pick, definitely. Give him that weapon. I like the Max Melton pick and cornerback. I was actually hoping we might take him. The Green Packers might have taken him. Get him back with his brother, Bo, the wide receiver we've got. Other one like Trey Benson, I think running back. I know they got Connor there, but I can't remember what age Connor is now. But he's getting, he's getting to that age, older for a running back. So he's had this injury history in the past. In the last couple of seasons he's done not all right. But yeah, Trey Benson, a good pick as well.
28, Jimmy Connor. So yeah, for a running back, that's a dangerous age to be at.
Yeah, and then I suppose going back the edge, the end of the first round, the second pick, Darius Robinson as well. So I think, again, I agree with you. It was definitely a good overall draft, I think, for them. Lots of picks to do it in. So, but yeah, that always helps. But
right. let's round this one off, mate. So I've got 2 questions for you. I'm going to be a complete cop-out, mate. That's mine, so fair warning. Biggest shock in the draft for you this year. So your biggest shock, and which team, and we talked about this before we came on air, folks, but we're not going to be complete cop-out merchants. So there will be no picking the Packers and there will be no picking the Browns for team you're most looking forward to for next year. Your biggest draft shock, and which team after the draft are you looking forward to watching most, mate?
I'm going to go for the low-hanging fruit. I think obviously Penix draft. Drafting Penix, Falcons, as we alluded to. Time will tell. We could looking back on this in 3 or 4 years' time, think it was an amazing pick. I suppose, like Love, people lambasted us for picking Love up, and that's so far going all right. But yeah, I think the Falcons pick there. The team I'm most looking forward to, I had a wee think about it before we came on. I'm going to go for the Commanders. I didn't think I would say that. I didn't think I would say that ever. Yeah, I'm just looking forward to seeing what they do. If Daniel's there now and resetting their franchise and see where they go. I didn't think I'd ever say that in Washington after what they've been going through all these years. So I think nice to actually watch them play some football for once.
Fair enough. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm stunned. I'm shocked. I did not see that coming at all. Right, for me, Matthew, and I've already talked about this earlier, my shock of the draft, and it's for what happened after it. In the 4th round, 121st pick overall, the Chicago Bears picked punter Tory Taylor out of Iowa. Now, I am not shocked about picking a kicker. I am actually a fan of drafting kickers. I know it goes against the board value and all the rest of it. What I am shocked at is drafting a kicker with your own 4th round pick and then selling a couple of picks to trade back into the 5th to get an edge. Why not just... The punter would have been there in the punter would have been there in the 6th, and you could have traded back in for way less value and still got all of your pieces. That made no sense.
Apparently, he's the top punter in the draft, wasn't he? So
yeah, he was. I don't dispute that in the slightest, but he's still a punter. He's still like, as much as I'm a fan of drafting kickers and punters and all the rest of it, he wasn't going to go outside the 6th.
It did seem on with their lack of picks as well. So anyway,
it's just the fact they gave up picks, they then come back in. Baffling. Made no sense to me. My team, I've kind of alluded to it already. Team I am sneaky looking forward to seeing next year is Arizona. I want to see the Cards. I want to see Kyler chucking about. I am a fan of Harrison Jr. I want to see what he can do. Our dynasty startup that we've got going at the moment that I'm drafting in. I was disappointed not to be able to get a wee share in Harrison Jr. So Grant's listening, he can enjoy rubbing that one in my face. He'll doubtless offer them to me for some outrageous price at some point in the future. Right, and that brings us to the end of our show tonight. So all that remains for me to say is, first and foremost, Liam, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for talking all things.
No, enjoyed it. Enjoyed, I say, looking all over the draft boards, all across it all. It was good.
Absolutely. And then all it remains for me to say to all you folks watching and all you folks listening is thanks very much for joining us this week to talk all things NFL draft. It is the dark time. You can still depend on the Gridiron Crew to get you through, though. We will be here every week to talk about the big news coming out of the NFL. You can find us on Facebook nowadays because it's the year 1995. You can find us on, Keith. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on X. We are on YouTube. We are on Instagram. And wherever you get your podcasts. So please remember, give us a like, give us a subscribe, get involved, chuck your questions at us. A big thank you to the World's team that have been chucking a whole pile of comments at us over on YouTube. It's great to hear from you. Sorry that I have not addressed more of them as we've been going through the show. But if you want to stick your tuppence in worth like them, make sure you get engaged with us and let us know what you've got to say. And with that, I have been your host, Brian, the Conscious of Cleveland Donlan. This has been the Gridiron Crew. Thank you very much, and we will catch you in the next one.